We just got an in-depth look at the new Harry Potter video game, which is called Hogwarts Legacy, and it has me very excited for what's to come. Now, I don't play video games, I never have, even as a kid. I don't even own a game console, but seeing this trailer just blew my mind. I immediately knew I had to make a video on it. I think this is going to change the wizarding world as we know it, and it's going to add so much more to the Harry Potter canon. It takes place a century before Harry's time, and according to this newspaper date, it will take place about 36 years before the first Fantastic Beasts film, so there's so much to discover in this unknown era. There's so many things to talk about, I don't even know where to start. I guess the centerpiece of the game is a good starting point.
When people engage in the wizarding world, what's the one anchor? Like, what's the thing that everyone comes back to? What's the thing that grounds it all and grounds all these characters and grounds all these figures? And for us, we really felt like that answer was Hogwarts itself.
In the very first shot, we have this amazing view of Hogwarts, and I just have to say, this Hogwarts looks incredible. This might actually be better than any of the shots of it in the movies, and that's saying something, because Stuart Craig, who created those set pieces, was just phenomenal. This shot is also very similar to Mad-Eye or Barty Jr. in the Goblet of Fire, which is a cool little Easter egg. Looking at another shot of the castle, it only confirms even more that this is my favorite visual representation of Hogwarts. If you look closely, you can see the clock tower and the stonework, which was heavily featured in the Prisoner of Azkaban film. And you can also see the bridge that was featured in the movies many times, which interestingly was never in the books, so they've done a great job of combining both the films and the novels. We also get a shot of the courtyard, which was another thing that was heavily featured in the films and was where the final scene of the third movie took place. It looks like they changed it a bit, adding the staircase on both the side and out the back, whereas in the film it was just on the side and the back went off to a cliff. The Room of Requirement is going to play a big role in this game as well, which we're very familiar with from the DA's meeting spot to the Room of Hidden Things. This seems to be the base of operations for us in the game.
The room provides space for you to sow and harvest plants, brew potions, and upgrade your gear.
We also see the castle expanded past what we know. They give us new views of Hogwarts like this back field, which we've never seen before. We've always seen the other side of the school, which is clear from the gallery up top here. Expanding the castle and the castle's grounds seems to be a theme for this game. Earlier they showed us much more of the greenhouse than we'd ever seen before, and we see just how big it is. They also say we're going to explore the castle known for its secrets, enchantments, and mysteries, pointing out the secret dungeons and passageways, which makes me think there's going to be a lot of new things about the castle added to the Harry Potter canon. The dungeons were of course in the books, it's where the potions classroom is, but this is on a whole other level, we're going so much deeper. We then get our first interior shot of Hogwarts, and you can see flags with the Hogwarts logo and the different houses, but I want you to look closely at the Ravenclaw flag. They actually used the correct colors and chose the correct mascot, which is an eagle, not a raven. I'm so happy to see they did not mess this up like the movies did. The premise of this game is us being a new student at Hogwarts, and we're told we have the special ability to manipulate powerful ancient magic that's hidden in the wizarding world. Personally, I really like this, because you start your journey with something that makes you different, much like Harry did as he was the boy who lived. And later in the trailer, it looks like we'll have a bag to rescue magical creatures, much like Newt's suitcase. So we get to be like Harry, being different and going to Hogwarts as a standout, and we get to be like Newt, collecting magical creatures in a carrying bag. That's pretty freaking cool. We're then told that we're starting at Hogwarts in our 5th year, which is something I'm not too thrilled about. I don't think you could just start at Hogwarts in your 5th year. It was stated that Harry being a 4th year would make him very far behind the other Triwizard champions, and they were only 3 years apart. So being behind 5 years, especially while missing the most crucial early years, it just doesn't seem possible or realistic to me. But I guess you are special with those ancient magical powers, so that could be a factor, but still. Later in the trailer, they do mention side games and activities which help you catch up to the other 5th years, but still, I don't think that's enough.
And while completing side assignments that are part of a special curriculum, ones designed to help you catch up with the other 5th years at your own speed.
The villains of this story are going to be goblins who are seeking to destroy wizard kind, and apparently they're seeking to harness your ancient magical powers. Hearing this makes me so happy. There is a rich history in the wizarding world of goblin rebellions, which I actually made a whole video on, and I'll link that down below if you want to watch it after this video. But in that video, I literally talked about how the goblin rebellions were the forgotten wars, so it's nice to see them focusing on something most people forget about or just don't know about. It looks like this is going to be a 3rd Goblin Rebellion though, as the other 2 were fought in the 1600s and 1700s, and as I said, this game takes place in the 1800s. The Goblins' leader is named Ranrock, which we saw in a shot of the Daily Prophet. Reading the article, it says truth or gobbledygook. For those that didn't catch this little Easter egg, gobbledygook is the native language the goblins speak. It's just another small detail that shows how much thought the creators of this game put into every aspect of the media they were given. In one shot, we see Ranrock with a metal glove, which really excites me. We know the goblins are the most skilled metalsmiths in the wizarding world, even creating the Sword of Gryffindor. And that sword and many other goblin-made items have led to conflicts between goblins and wizards. Goblins believe that their metalwork should be given back after the wizard who bought it dies. They think it belongs to them. Meanwhile, wizards believe it's rightfully theirs because they bought it, so they pass it down in their family. This even led to some heated moments between Bill Weasley and Griphook in the 7th book. So anyway, getting back on track, this metal glove was definitely made by the goblins, most likely by Ranrock himself, because in goblin culture, the leader of the goblins is always the most skilled metalsmith and is always expected to work the hardest. I imagine this metal glove is extremely powerful. It might even absorb whatever it touches, much like the Sword of Gryffindor.
It only takes in that which makes it stronger.
So that means it might be taking in the spell that it's being hit with in this shot. On top of that, it looks like we end up on the Gringotts Railway at some point, which we rode on in both the first and last installment, and in the game, I assume this has something to do with the Goblin Rebellion. We later learn that the goblin villains will team up with dark witches and wizards.
In fact, there's an uneasy alliance between the goblins and dark wizards,
which is something I never thought I'd see, and I don't know how I feel about this. Goblins are very proud, and they are adamant on not needing wizards' help. They can do everything on their own, and they are highly offended when humans say otherwise. So I don't see them teaming up with wizards, even if it would help them. They're just too proud. However, in this next scene, we see Ranrock getting angry with these wizards, which adds up more with the goblin and wizard rivalry.
You said you could get to the child when they came to Hogsmeade. That all you needed was a distraction. I gave you a distraction.
I just watched a student take down your distraction.
This scene also sets up the importance of you yourself, because in the game, you are the child he's referring to. Again, I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. There are so many small details in this trailer that excite me. The centaurs in the Forbidden Forest look amazing.
What do you think you're doing here, humans?
This of course takes place in the 1800s though, so this is not Firenze, Bane, or any of the other centaurs we know from the 1990s. We also see more magical creatures we know of, like Graphorns, Thestrals, Nifflers, Trolls, Mooncalves, Dragons, and even Inferi, which are dead bodies magically reanimated, and were the creatures that guarded Voldemort's Horcrux in the cave. There were so many Easter eggs in this trailer. I've already named a few, but I'm going to name some more because I had fun going through the trailer and picking these things out. In this painting, you can see witches and wizards flying over the same bridge where the train stopped for the Dementors in the 3rd movie. We also see posters and signs all around the classrooms with different spells written on it.
Relatio. Petrificus totalis. Alohomora.
Lumos. Nox.
Rictus Emperor!
The protective charm, the door locking spell, the spell to make clothes and cloth, the spell that turns stairs into a slide, and in another shot, the Patronus charm.
Expecto Patronum!
We also learn more about magical plants that can help us in fights, which includes mandrakes. That was of course the plant we saw in the 2nd book, and was the plant that awoke all of those petrified by the basilisk. And let's take a deeper look into the classrooms. In the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, we see the same staircase that leads to the professor's office, which we saw many times in the films. And at the top, you can see a large object that looks like a time turner, as well as the skeleton that was featured in many movies. We saw it fall in the 2nd movie, and later in the trailer, we see it fall again. But unlike Lockhart, this Defense Against the Dark Arts professor was actually able to save her student. Then a dueling table comes out of the ground, which is very similar to the dueling table that Lockhart brought to the Great Hall in the 90s. I'm not sure how I feel about them adding stuff like this in already established areas, because if they had it back then, why didn't they use it later on in the original series? I'm fine with adding new things we've never seen before, like different parts of the castle, but we've seen this classroom so many times in both the original films and the Fantastic Beasts films, so changing something or adding something to a classroom we're so familiar with just seemed weird. On the bright side though, this duel looks pretty incredible. It's definitely up to par with the movies. Moving on to some more Easter eggs, the potion shop we see in Hogsmeade is Pippin's Potions, which we've seen in the films and even other video games. We know it was established in the 1700s, and we know it's a chain, so they have a store in Diagon Alley as well. And looking closer, the Wiggenweld potion is another Easter egg, as it's been in 9 other video games, this one being the 10th, and it's a healing potion. Going to Hogsmeade Village can also lead you to some danger.
But Hogsmeade also has its dangerous side. A band of dark witches and wizards, emboldened by the turmoil of the times, wander the village outskirts,
which I guess is fitting. We've seen some sketchy people in Hogsmeade before, especially the Hog's Head, though that pub is not yet open, as Aberforth Dumbledore opened it, and at this point in 1890, he would only be about 6 or 7 years old. We also see Ollivander's wand shop, and it looks just like it did in the movie, only this is the Hogsmeade location, not the Diagon Alley location. We're also told we can wander the village outskirts as well, which should be fun.
Wander the village outskirts.
We know that there are mountains with caves if you keep walking, because that's where both Sirius and Hagrid lay low at different points in time. Also, I just want to say that this time-lapse of Hogwarts Castle is something I never knew I needed, but I'm so glad it exists now. We also get a look at the Hogwarts kitchens, which from the books we know is right under the Great Hall, and we see the house elves hard at work making the food for the students and staff. Exploring this will be really cool, and I just hope they added the portrait of the fruit to get in. The trick is of course to tickle the pair. We also get a grand shot of the prefix bathroom, which Harry used to figure out the Triwizard Egg. Can you imagine having this as your bathroom? I would take baths on baths on baths. They also added the mermaid that looks just like it did in the film, which was a nice touch. Moving forward, we also see the house common room, starting with the Gryffindor dorm, and I love the golden lions on the curtains, which Dumbledore of course said he caught on fire in the 4th movie.
I never liked these curtains. Set them on fire in my 4th year. By accident, of course.
We also get a look at the Ravenclaw common room, which we had not seen on screen. Harry and Luna did go there in the 7th book though. The Slytherin common room is very similar to what we saw in the 2nd film, and the Gryffindor common room is also similar to the film, though a bit different in certain places, and I think it's much bigger. And this next part is monumental. They finally show us the Hufflepuff common room, which has never appeared in the books or the movies. This is groundbreaking.
I helped design a piece that nobody has ever seen before. The Hufflepuff common room. You know, as a Hufflepuff, you always wonder, like, what is my common room supposed to look like?
There were a number of new characters, mostly Hogwarts professors, and so far I'm very intrigued to learn more about them. The Herbology professor, who is much younger than Sprout, the Charms professor, who has a lot of spunk and is a lot taller than Flitwick, the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, who's a lot older than I expected, the Potions professor, and most of all, Professor Fig, who will work with us the most as we unmine the mystery of the game.
The accomplished and yet enigmatic Professor Fig.
This is a huge Easter egg, because we actually know someone from the Fig family. In the original series, we have Arabella Fig, who was the squib neighbor of Harry and the Dursleys. This is clearly one of her ancestors, because though she isn't magical, she came from a magical family, which is why she's classified as a squib, a non-magical kid coming from magical parents. We learn more about our companions who will become our friends as well, as we meet a Gryffindor girl named Not Seonai, a Hufflepuff girl named Poppy Sweeting, who we find out loves magical beasts.
Poppy Sweeting has a kind heart and loves magical beasts, connecting with them more easily than with humans.
We of course know another Hufflepuff student who also loves magical beasts and who also connects with them more than humans. And this is before Newt's textbook Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them came out, so Poppy is pretty progressive, as most did not know the importance of the beasts until that book came out.
I'm writing a book about magical creatures.
Like an extermination guide?
No, a guide to help people understand why we should be protecting these creatures instead of killing them.
Goldstein?
And we also meet a Slytherin boy named Sebastian Sallow, who is also very intriguing as we find out he has a family secret that refers to a curse he wishes he could reverse.
We've been over this, boy. Figs cannot reverse a curse.
With a troubling family secret.
Nothing can. The sooner you accept that reality, the better.
We also meet a house elf named Deke, who I assume works in the Hogwarts kitchens.
Deke isn't sure. Only one way to find out.
I never thought we'd see an Irish house elf, but I love it. We see some familiar faces as well, like Nearly Headless Nick, who talks about joining the Headless Hunt.
Once Sir Patrick lets me join the Headless Hunt, I'll be right there with them. This offering is sure to win them over.
The Patrick he refers to is Sir Patrick Delaney Podmore, the leader of the Headless Hunt. Unfortunately for Nick, even a century later, Patrick still would not let him into the Headless Hunt, as we see Patrick humiliate Nick at his death day party in the second novel, all because Nick's head wasn't chopped off all the way. The food that you're carrying in this shot is the food for the ghosts that they can almost taste, normally being moldy, rotten, or burnt to give it more flavor, which we also saw at Nick's death day party. We see another familiar face with the History of Magic professor, Professor Binns, who was also teaching during the original series, still in his ghost form. We get a quick look at Peeves the Poltergeist, a character that was in the books but was left out of the films entirely, so I'm glad to see him getting some recognition, and I can't wait to see what shenanigans he gets up to in this game. We also see the portrait of another familiar face, the Fat Lady. It looks like they went with the first film in the books for the Gryffindor common room entrance, rather than the third film, which saw the entrance on the staircase. One of the coolest parts about this game is that we get to explore what's past the Hogwarts grounds.
What's beyond the Forbidden Forest? What's going to be beyond Hogsmeade? What's beyond the Black Lake if I start traveling south? And we just felt like we had to answer those questions.
Honestly, exploring outside of the castle will be so interesting, looking through caves, the surrounding mountains, and even other buildings. The map that we see in the behind the scenes shows just how much we can discover, and it's got me very excited. This shot of the giant statue was one of the most intriguing shots in the whole trailer. I'm already so eager to unwind whatever mystery is coming our way. We then see this absolutely breathtaking scenery and a worn down building, which appears to be outside the grounds of Hogwarts. It makes me wonder, was this once part of the school? Did the 4 founders build this? They created Hogwarts in 990 AD, so it's been almost 1,000 years since the school was created. In that time gap, there could be many lost traditions, buildings, extensions, and so much more that we've never seen before, and I hope this game explores that. We're also told that we might encounter some magical puzzles made by Merlin himself while he was at Hogwarts, which would have been 400 years before this game takes place, because in Harry Potter canon, Merlin was alive around the 1400s. I think that the best part about this game though is that we make our own journey. We get a look at how we can customize and create our own character, which is just amazing. This is by far the closest we've gotten to going to Hogwarts and being in the Wizarding World. You can even add small details like adding scars, and this scar might be an Easter egg as it looks a lot like the scar Bill got from Greyback. Also, seeing them changing this girl's hair color immediately makes me think of Tonks and her Metamorph Magus powers. Based on the trailer, it looks like we're actually going to participate in these classes and really learn as though we were a student, which is really exciting.
Here you'll meet your professors and learn to cast spells, grow magical plants, brew potions, and more.
On top of that, we'll be sorted into our Hogwarts house, and while on our quest, we're going to have time to progress our talents and skills as a wizard. There are challenges that develop our favorite movements and fighting styles, which really makes everyone playing be unique to their own preferences. And now this next part that blows my mind and that can really make us unique is that we can become a villain if we want to.
Be careful where you choose to explore, as it may lead you down a darker path.
I think this game is going to change Harry Potter as we know it. There are so many added additions to this world that we know and love. We're expanding Hogwarts, we're learning about a whole new era that hasn't been covered yet, we get a new take on the villain and threat that's very different from the traditional dark wizard trope which we saw in the original series and the Fantastic Beasts movies, and we get to make our own destiny and write the story that we want to write. This trailer is just a sneak peek of what's to come, and I'm so excited to see more. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can follow me on Instagram to see more of my personal life, like my cute dog Loki, and some behind the scenes movie flame stuff. I also do similar content on TikTok and Twitter that I do here on this channel, so if you like what I do here, check them out. All the handles are right below me, and links are in the description. Over here are my wonderful patrons. If you want to be featured on the next video, plus get a few other perks, become a patron today. As always, if you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe, and look out for more great Movie Flame videos on the way.